Welcome to the Sports Syllabus Show, your ultimate playbook for all things sports. Whether you're a diehard fan, a curious rookie, or just here for the hot takes, we've got you covered. From breaking news and game analysis to interviews and debates, we're diving deep into the world of sports every week. So grab your jersey, lace up, and let's get in the game. This is the Sports Syllabus Show. Let's go. Our first section for today is playoff reactions. Our second is the NFL coaching carousel. Our third is Bradley Hoops. And finally, we'll wrap it up with some NBA talk. All right, Luke, welcome. Welcome to the Sports Syllabus Show. I'm your host, John. This is
I'm Luke Young.
And first, we're going to talk about the playoffs. Luke, what did you think of the Commanders' Commanders' surprising win?
Well, I lost a lot of flip money on the Lions. I think everybody thought the Lions were going to win. We didn't think that Daniels had the chops to win in the playoffs, especially as a rookie quarterback. But clearly, he's proven to everybody that he's the real deal.
Yeah.
Beating this loaded Lions team. Everyone's saying they had no defenders, barely had any starting defenders, which is a valid excuse. But we saw them hold up week after week, and Daniels just diced them this week.
I pulled up some numbers. The Commanders had the Lions outgained the Commanders 521 to 481, but the Lions had 5 turnovers. And the thing that really annoyed me, we'll talk about this later with the Bears and how they hired Ben Johnson, but how people were saying that it was Ben Johnson's fault that they did bad. Now, yes, I think Ben Johnson did get a little cute with the Jameson Williams throwing, but he can't control Jared Goff making those. He's not in Jared Goff's mind making those bad throws that went in the end zone that he underthrew. He can't control those bad underthrown balls that Goff. He's making those plays, but he can't control when Goff in that one game threw 5 interceptions. So I feel like that's kind of not fair to Ben Johnson when we saw not just last year but also this season how dominant he was when he was for Goff. I mean, Goff is a finalist for MVP. He's not going to win, but he's a finalist for MVP. I would argue I think Jaden Daniels should be the finalist of MVP over Jared Goff, considering he hasn't had his big turnover games. Goff hasn't turned the ball over as much, but he's had those big games where he has thrown 5 interceptions, or this one where he had 4 turnovers. So that's what I think, at least.
Yeah, Daniels had that stretch though in the middle of the year where he was clearly hurt, had that rib injury.
Yeah.
I think that kind of hurt where they kind of came down a little bit after a really good start. But yeah, it was Goff's bad play. I think on the Ben Johnson point, he wanted to show everyone how creative a play caller he is. And to me, I don't know if it was the final plan to have Jameson Williams chuck that ball. I bet you they wanted to get – he's one of the fastest people in the NFL. Exactly. I bet you they wanted to get him out in space on the outside.
Probably. I think that's what the Bears tried to do that one time. But it was with Keenan Allen. It was dumb. But I see what you mean. Yeah. That they're trying to get him out in space, and he probably just said it after.
Yeah, I bet you it was an option for him. I bet you it wasn't the first option.
Exactly.
I bet you. But he had 8 Washington defenders in front of him. She's all right, I got to throw this.
Exactly.
Threw the pick, and clearly not a quarterback. So.
And now we can kind of transition to the next or the other NFC game, the Eagles Rams game. The Eagles, I've been on my other podcast. I've been kind of critical of Jalen Hurts. I don't think he's that good. I think he gets carried. I think, and I've said this, and I'll stay with it, that he's gotten carried to the Super Bowl if he makes it this year by running backs that have had 2 career years. When they made it to the Super Bowl the other time, it was Miles Sanders had a career year, then he got the big contract by Carolina, and now this year Saquon, I would say, is having one of the best running back seasons we've ever seen. Mm-hmm. So that's my thing with the Eagles, because I thought the Rams were going to win this game. Yeah. And you take away that an interception from Stafford. Yeah, I think they win this game.
Yeah, Hurts also got hurt near the end of that game. I was like, man, maybe the Rams do have a shot here coming back, because he could not move. We saw it on that safety where if there was normal Jalen Hurts, he would have ran out and got rid of the ball. But he kind of just he's like, I'm just going to take this safety and not take the fumble. But it was Saquon who put him over the edge in this game. Those 2 big runs, one without the snow and then one with the snow. And then you saw that clip of, I don't know if you saw, but it was Saquon was to Jalen, watch this on that big run, right before. Exactly, yeah. Broke out to the left and it was gone. And he looked like the fastest person on the planet on that run.
I mean, it's unrealistic, the fact that this dude had 200-plus yards rushing both times he played. He ran for over 400 yards against this team in 2 games. Mm-hmm. And then I know Jalen Hurts, like, he's a good running quarterback. Yeah, he had that big, 44, 45 yard
first touchdown in the game, yeah.
But other than that, he only threw 128 yards. He didn't throw any touchdowns. That's what I'm saying is, I think if a team can really shut them down, running-wise, which is, I know, it's much easier to be said than done.
Yeah, well, they have the best offensive line, so
exactly.
It's tough to match all those guys up front, I think even without Kelsey.
Exactly. I think if you can, not even shut them down, but match it a little bit, you have a shot. Because I don't trust Jalen Hurts' arm as much as I trust.
Even if he's hurt, he might be hurt for this next game too.
Exactly. So. And him not being as mobile as he usually is people don't understand,
that's all of his game.
That's how he gets out of the pocket. He makes these nice throws.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing with him is he has all these weapons, but he won't be able to use them because he's not a great pocket passer.
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels, on the other hand, I would say is doing so well. I think he's setting himself up for a Hall of Fame career, honestly, at this point. I mean, I know it's obviously really early,
yeah.
but just how they had 31 at halftime.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. 31 points and this was supposed and Ford Field's a hard place to play at too, and they took their that place with relative ease, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing with Hurts, we keep seeing those stats about how he never throws for a lot of yards in the playoffs. All these playoff games he's had, he always throws right around 150 yards passing, and we AJ Brown and Devontae Smith kind of disappear in these games, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Devontae had that one play where he caught it and then got drilled, and he got it, which is absolutely insane for a guy his size. Yes. But when they're paying these receivers, especially Brown, and Brown's going to complain if he doesn't get the ball.
Oh, yeah, we've seen that.
Yeah,
that from him.
I don't know. They kind of disappear in these games, and it's so Saquon heavy, and so is Goddard still the tight end there? Yeah. But I mean, if I had a running back like Saquon, I don't know. I wouldn't waste my time with some of these throws.
That's true.
We don't want to put too much pressure on Hurts because
he's not consistent enough.
Yeah.
If he was, let's say, consistently giving me 200 and a passing.
Yeah, it's not like we have to see a 354 touchdown game on him for them to win.
You want consistency. He's so up and down where he'll throw for 300 and 3 touchdowns and then the next game he'll look like a shell of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I feel like Hurts has. I know because he might be if he's continuing to be hurt during these, he's gonna have to get more comfortable throwing in the pocket.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll see a different Jalen Hurts this week, but I don't know. Next, I want to talk about the AFC, the Chiefs. What are your initial thoughts? Because I have a whole bunch of stuff. So.
Well, everyone's gonna point out to the refs and these when they watch this game. Of course, there were some bad, but especially the one where the two Texans defenders hit each other in the head, and they called it for a unnecessary roughness, and that was pretty bad. I would say that's a pretty bad call. And the one where Mahomes is flopping, luckily they didn't give him that one. But I mean, Mahomes did play a great game. The one passing touchdown to Kelsey, where he was parallel with the end zone, throwing that's absurd stuff that we can't expect out of any other quarterback. When you watch Mahomes do it, we're oh, that's just an everyday thing for him. But yeah, they're definitely going to get the calls. I don't know if it's the reason they won the game, but it was definitely played a big part.
Yeah. So what I have here, this game was the first time when a team outgained their opponent by 100 yards and lost. And I think a big part of it was, I know we can't blame the refs, but that is a big part because if you think some of those calls that they made, that kept the drives alive, and they ended up scoring on that drive.
Mm-hmm.
And Buck and Aikman kept on digging at it, and the rules analyst too was even that was a bad call. So it's not like I'm just my college sports brain is saying this is a bad call. Professional analyst, a former professional quarterback, and a legit NFL rule analyst are saying it's bad too. And the thing with that is the reason why you and I had to talk about this a little bit yesterday about the Mahomes and Brady. The reason why I think Brady is the best right now is because we were talking about it. Brady takes hits. Brady never complains to the ref. I feel like Mahomes asks so much from the refs, and I know you don't have these usual debates when you're talking LeBron or Jordan or all these GOATs and stuff. But when it comes to this, and their margin is so small,
mm-hmm.
That's what we kind of have to do. I feel like the reason why Brady is this good is because he would take hits and he would get up. He wouldn't beg the refs for calls or look at the refs for calls. And I feel like Mahomes does that a lot.
Yeah, I also think even though a lot of people don't like the Chiefs, I feel like the NFL tried to make a villain out of the Patriots, where they're trying to create a hero out of the Chiefs, right? With the whole Taylor Swift thing. I mean, Caitlin Clark's in the crowd. She's like a huge Chiefs fan. They got the Kelsey thing. Kelsey makes them a lot of money. Mahomes makes them a lot of money. Whereas for like the Patriots, like a lot of my life, I don't remember much of the Patriots stuff, but I feel like they try to make a villain out of the Patriots. I mean, like all the stuff with like Deflategate and all that stuff where the
Tuck rule, all that stuff.
All that they try to make a villain because they were so good. And for this, I think they're trying to do a different approach where, like, I feel like people aren't responding as much. I feel like there is a demographic that is responding. They probably drew in a lot of new fans, but a lot of like diehard NBA or NFL fans are probably pretty tired of this stuff.
Exactly.
But I mean, I can't even like blame Mahomes because he's like kind of figured out a way to like make it his advantage. It's like the one play where the two defenders hit their head. It's the thing where he's like running. You don't think he's going to slide. He quickly just drops to the floor. It's almost a guaranteed call.
That's what I was going to talk about. Yeah. They talked about that in the broadcast. So like they need to make a rule about this because quarterbacks doing that is not only putting them at risk, but that was a helmet-to-helmet hit on the teammates on these teammates.
Yeah.
So you're putting not only yourself at risk, but also other people at risk. Yeah. And I do think Mahomes has found a way to finesse that and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think with the Patriots, I do think I always remember, like, when we were younger, like, you don't want to see the Patriots. Like, it was always, for me, Packers, obviously, because I'm a Bears fan. And then the Patriots, you're just like, they're just too good to win again, It's like, people will say, like, you're not a fan. You'll be like, I'm not a fan of, let's say, Jake Paul, but I still watch his stuff. You're still a fan.
Yeah.
So, like, I feel like that's what it's kind of like for me and a bunch of the people that don't like the Chiefs is we're not fans. We say we're not, but we are in a sense because we always watch them play and we want to see them lose.
That Chiefs-Texans game was the highest watched ESPN NFL game ever.
Exactly.
So clearly there's a draw there.
Exactly. So that's
even for haters.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Coming to hate watch and they're still going to make money off of it. So
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like it's no matter which way you look at it, like I'm not a big fan of the Chiefs. I'm still a viewer. I'm still a fan. I still want
to watch Mahomes and Kelsey because they're awesome to
exactly.
watch, even this late.
Even in the playoffs. Yeah. I mean, the playoffs is when they turn on.
Yeah. Their defense is so good too. That's why
their defense is.
Chris Jones is unbelievable.
No, gosh, yeah. The next game I want to talk about, possible game of the year, Ravens Bills. What did you think about that, Luke?
A lot of people are going to blame this on Andrews, and he definitely deserves some of the blame. First off, with the fumble, where if he would have just turned the opposite way, he had open field, and as he turned into three defenders and got the ball stripped, I was watching that. I was like, what was he thinking there? But I don't know. And then the drop in the end zone, that was bad. That was really bad. But I mean, Lamar didn't put them in a position. That pick on the broadcast, the announcers, I forgot which one it was.
Nance or Romo.
Yeah, one of them was like, oh, that was the linebacker who provided that pressure, and it didn't seem like that much pressure for him to just chuck it, overthrow what's his name, Bateman. And just,
that was an awful ball.
Yeah,
that must have been like an option route, or it just
or he just didn't know, or he just missed.
It could have just been a miss. It is just because that ball. I mean, Lamar is one of the best quarterbacks, and probably he's gonna win the MVP. I think.
I think Josh Allen's gonna win. I want Lamar to win. Lamar deserves it more than Allen, but he's already got two, and I feel like voter fatigue is playing in a huge. Like if you look on the gambling sites, like Allen's like minus 300, so he's definitely gonna get it.
And I think also, Joe Burrow.
I don't think Burrow's gonna.
I think they're just not gonna give it to him because his team.
Yeah.
And I think they're gonna give it to Allen as well because of his team. They literally beat Lamar.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about. I've been critical on my other YouTube and my podcast of Lamar in the playoffs. I think he's a regular season merchant. I think he's a great quarterback in the regular season. I think in the playoffs, and I'm not saying he didn't play terrible, but he did not play Lamar.
That last drive, he looked amazing.
That I was about to say, yeah. Last drive, he looked great, but, one drive can't make a game.
Yeah.
It can, but...
It's like how the Chiefs have won all their games.
Exactly. That's what I realized right when I said that. But Lamar, in his playoff games, has 11 turnovers to 10 touchdowns in his playoff career. And to put that in retrospect... This year, I know it's more games, but he had 41 touchdowns to 4 interceptions.
Yeah.
So I feel like he puts the standard on himself where like this is finally the year, and this was his best team by far.
100%.
I know yesterday Flowers was hurt, but you had Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry looked like he was kind of the shell of himself last season with the Titans, and then this year ran for 1,900 yards. So this was his bet. He didn't have an excuse this year.
Mm-hmm.
The past few seasons they haven't had a consistent running game. Zay Flowers was a rookie. You know, Mark Andrews he's still a great tight end, but it's really Mark Andrews and that's it.
Yeah.
Now he has a run game. They're the best backfield probably in the NFL, and they didn't do anything. So I think and this is I have the Bills. The Bills have a plus 24 turnover differential, and the Ravens have a plus 8.
Mm-hmm.
So going into this game, it was going to be the turnovers.
Yeah.
And Lamar, that one interception was bad, and the ball security, the ball security with him has been, he made that play when he's holding on the ball with one hand against the Bengals. Yeah, but it's still
and plus it was freezing.
It's freezing. It's snowing, slippery. Yeah, that you have to have two hands on the ball, and the Bills are too good to where they're not going to give you those. Like sometimes teams will take those those possessions that they get off of a turnover and score a field goal. Yeah. More likely than not, the Bills are going to score a touchdown, considering with how good their offense is this year. So the issue with me and Lamar is just his turnovers in the playoffs. They're too costly.
Yeah. Another thing on Lamar, they were talking about it on the broadcast somehow. He this year he put pressure on himself to not get nervous in the playoffs, and he played this game like he was kind of jittery and excited.
I would agree,
because he was making these dumb mistakes where he just kind of want to get the ball, and we didn't see those huge rushes from him at all. I don't really feel like Henry would make that big of an impact in that game either.
He was more of a bigger impact in the second half, but even then, for Derrick Henry,
I feel like it was a lacking game for him.
It was 85 yards, nothing crazy for Derrick Henry, but now we can kind of talk championship game.
Mm-hmm.
I beg that Jaden Daniels saves us from a Chiefs.
Well, we got Lamar. Allen's got to save us too. But
but I don't want to.
I feel like Allen has a better chance.
Allen has a better chance. That's what I'm saying. Because I think in my other one I said on my other podcast I said that I think confidently I can say this year Josh Allen is better than Mahomes, and I'm confident to say that this year, I don't want this to be taken out of context. This year, Josh Allen is better than Mahomes. Not career-wise, Mahomes is better than Josh Allen. I'm saying this specific season, I have more faith in Josh Allen. Yeah. But when it comes down to clutch time, you can't pick against Mahomes. No. He's proven you right again and again. You can't pick against that.
Yeah, in this game, if they get the ball down 4 with 2 minutes left, I'm just gonna live bet them because
exactly
he's just gonna do some insane stuff, probably get some stupid call, throw it to Kelsey 3 times, and they're gonna go down and win the game. That's just what they do. But I do think I'm gonna pick the Bills in this game.
I agree with that.
I think Josh Allen's just too talented, and I don't know. I feel like there's just kind of been building up for him to be this is his year to make it to the Super Bowl finally, and people say he doesn't have weapons, but James Cook is a really good running back.
He was tied for the league in total in touchdowns
until the last week when he didn't play. So
exactly,
he is people are pulling his hair. His hair is super long. People are pulling his hair, and he's just sprinting past people.
And Khalil Shakir is one of the most underrated running backs wide receivers. In the NFL, he does not drop the ball.
Yeah.
Which he might not give you 100 consistently 100.
He's not Diggs.
Exactly.
He's good.
But you throw him the ball, it's almost a guaranteed catch.
Yeah.
Which is, I'd much rather have that in some instances than a guy someone who gives me those big plays but doesn't catch it as much.
Yeah. Like Pickens.
Exactly. So I have a lot more confidence in the Bills, but also the playoffs.
I'm really scared to not pick the Chiefs because
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Over and over. But majority of my football life I've just seen the Chiefs just dominate.
Exactly. But what I'm saying with the Commanders though is it's a new season when you're in the playoffs. If you're 0-0, and if they're hot right now, so even though they might not have the better team, if they're hot right now, Daniels has the most passing yards in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And they have 2 of the top 5 receiving yard leaders in the playoffs too. So they have weapons, and then Brian Robinson Jr. is basically a walking touchdown. I mean, just because they give him this dude just gets touchdowns.
And I don't know if there's anybody else like that I trust on like 4th and long than Daniels, because like he's either gonna throw a really good ball or he's gonna do the scramble thing, and he's like untackleable.
Exactly, because he's so shifty. Him and Lamar, I would put him and Lamar in like their own
category of shifty.
Elusiveness.
Yeah. Hopefully, no injuries. I hope Hurts is not injured, because it's going to make that Eagles team pretty unwatchable, because they're just going to hand the ball off, or Hurts is just going to stand in the pocket. Mm-hmm. Luckily, he has the best offensive line in football. They had that play, I don't know when it was, but he just stood there for like 5 seconds and had all the time in the world. And people were saying after the season, like, oh, they lost Kelsey. Kelsey was the best player on that offense, which he was. He's one of the greatest centers of all time, if not the greatest. But they replenished, and they're just as good. And it's really good to see, and that's why Saquon – He should give a lot of credit to his offensive line.
You saw the holes that they would make in that game. The last thing I want to say about this is when the Commanders played the Eagles with Kenny Pickett, they only won by 3 points.
Yeah.
So, like, obviously you want to go in with Hurts, because Hurts is better than Pickett.
Yeah.
But if Hurts gets hurt and he's not 100% healthy, I'm still
going with the Commanders.
I think the Commanders win.
With Pickett, I think the Eagles win with Hurts.
Yeah. I think with Pickett, it will be a closer game than many think.
Yeah.
Now we can kind of talk about the head coaching carousel.
Yeah.
First, we got to talk about my Bears. What do you think of that hire?
I think it's good. A lot of people are knocking Ben Johnson, especially after that bad loss.
I think he was just ready to move on once he
maybe, but they're knocking him because, I mean, we've seen these great play callers get hired over and over. We had the Miami coach, what's his name? McDaniels. Yeah, he's he's kind of like Ben Johnson, like he's going to set in a system. But I think this is a great hire for a offensive-driven team. Have a really good young quarterback. Like, I know I've made fun of him a little bit on this podcast, but he had a really good year in terms of like even compared to Daniels. He didn't have that bad of a year.
Yeah, he technically, like, I know. Yeah, Daniels has had thrown more yards, thrown more touchdowns, but he's threw less interceptions.
Yeah,
Caleb did not. The good thing with Caleb that we've seen kind of with the other quarterbacks is he hasn't really turned the ball over.
Yeah.
Which is something that a lot of we saw it with Josh Allen until this year.
Yeah.
He was a great quarterback, but he always turned the ball over. So
seeing
that Caleb has that already instilled in him with a garbage coaching staff is very, very good, a good sign to see. But like I've said this before too, Ben Johnson's only one piece of the puzzle. They still need an O-line. They still need a D-line.
I think the biggest thing for Johnson is he going to get his players to play for him. I feel like that's a big – like, he's going to come in. Obviously, we know he's going to set a system, call some awesome plays, and have Caleb do a bunch of Superman things and get these receivers wide open. But can he get the defense and the offensive line to play for him? Because I feel like Eberflus lost that at the end.
I totally agree.
Halfway through the year, I feel like they stopped playing for him. I mean, we saw the clip of DJ Moore running off on the sideline during a play. Like, if – Ben Johnson can win over the locker room, I think that's going to be the biggest piece to the Bears' success and getting to the playoffs. Finally.
Yeah, I agree, because when you're talking about this actually is a perfect segue to our other the one of the other head coaches, Aaron Glenn.
Mm-hmm.
He is the one of the coaches that gets people behind him and they want to play for him.
Yeah.
But the only issue that I have with the Jets hiring him is that was the same thing with Saleh.
Mm-hmm.
Is he was a great motivator. He was a great, people loved playing for him.
Yeah.
But they didn't win. Like when they were losing and stuff, and they fired him, there were reports that the locker room was mad, just because they love the guy and they love playing for him. So they're gonna have a good defense. We know that they have a bunch of good players on defense.
Yeah, they have the talent. Let's see if they can pull it together. I mean, their defense is bad this year.
Exactly, but they need a quarterback. Aaron Rodgers was not bad. 28 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Not bad at all.
I mean, statistically, he wasn't bad, but if you actually watch the games, he couldn't do anything.
He was. You could tell ages. He's 41.
He also didn't throw it to his best receiver in Garrett Wilson because he just wanted to throw it to Lazard and his best buddy Devontae. So,
exactly.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like a new QB would be the key to their. But who are they going to go get? I mean, like they're not going to get Darnold again.
No,
and
that's why they're in a really weird state because what you can do is you can sign like let's say a Justin Fields, someone who's like a
but
veteran.
Where is Justin Fields going to take? We're considering Justin Fields a veteran now.
Exactly. I don't
think we are.
5-6 years.
I mean, he's still so young. I feel like he's still got a lot to like figure out. I don't think Fields is going to like help you like win any more games. I mean, they won more games with Zach Wilson than they did Aaron Rodgers. I'm just gonna say that.
True.
I feel like Saleh was kicked to the curb just too fast. And I
agree. I think Woody Johnson, their owner, is just too much.
Yeah, well, they had Rodgers take the reins of that franchise.
Yeah,
I feel like that was part of wasn't in the contract, but when he signed it, they're like, oh, we're gonna let you make some decisions.
Yeah,
here.
that's the thing with him is like he's so all about. I mean, Did you watch that Netflix documentary?
I saw parts of it. Yeah, I didn't watch it though because I don't really like Rodgers.
I don't like him either, but it's very interesting to see how he processes everything.
Yeah,
and he's a kind of a different dude.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's a little bit out there, but you really appreciate how much processing and thought he does about football. Like,
yeah,
it showed him recovering from his Achilles. This dude could have played. Like they said, right when the Jets got removed from the playoff hunt. Last season when he tore his Achilles,
yep.
He was like about to go and play because he went to a doctor and the doctor's like, you could play with this.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's one thing that you can't take away from him is this dude works hard and he's gonna work his butt off. And even though there have been reports that he's not a great teammate, multiple people have come out and say that like, yeah, he's kind of a weird guy, he's kind of a bad teammate, but his ultimate goal is to win, and that's what makes people great. So I think he needs to hang it up though.
Yeah, this might be it
because with Brady had kind of like a season like this where like it was an okay season. They didn't do much, and he said, "I want to come back one more," and then it was an awful end.
Yeah,
I feel like he needs to hang it up now. You know, end it on 28 TDs, 11 interceptions. Not bad.
Yeah,
that's really not terrible at all. Ended on that rather than ending on a bad note where people just remember you as a emo, like you're just sitting there. You know, you're just a waiting duck, basically waiting to go off.
Yeah.
The next head coaching hire I want to talk about, Mike Vrabel.
Yep, Vrabel to the pass. This is huge for them.
I was about to say that. What do you think about it?
I think it's a great pick. I feel like out of all the candidates, like I love Johnson, I love Glenn, but this was the best one sitting there. Vrabel clearly has proved it over and over and over. He didn't even have very good Titans teams, and he had Ryan Tannehill as his quarterback, and they went to the playoffs every year.
They went to the AFC Championship in 2019. I mean, a lot of that was behind Derrick Henry, but still.
No, but Vrabel is a great coach, and we're talking about coaches getting players to play for them. Vrabel's going to do that. We know he's going to do that, and he's going to put in a system, and they have Drake May. Drake May's amazing.
Exactly. That's what I was saying.
They just need a draft.
I totally agree. I think Vrabel's going to bring back, ever since Belichick has been gone, like he's been gone for 1 year, but
feels like forever.
But it does, because I felt like with Gerard Mayo. Wrong Mayo.
Yep.
With Gerard Mayo, it was a lot of it wasn't the Patriot way, and I feel like with Vrabel's going to bring back that Patriot way where like he doesn't put up with any of the babies.
Yes.
He's going to make them work their butts off. He's going to give his best, for everything. I feel like, and I'm not saying Gerard Mayo didn't do that. I feel
at least he tried to do it, but Vrabel actually has like the chops to actually do it.
Exactly. Like they interviewed DeMarcus Walker on the Bears, who was on the Titans when Vrabel was, and he's like, Vrabel will get into your face. He won't care. So that's what I think that they need.
Yeah.
I think that he also with Drake May, he can kind of rough coach him, but coach him if that makes sense.
Drake May's so young, he can like turn him into whatever he wants.
And Drake May, he had 17 touchdowns to 10 interceptions, which isn't terrible, but in 13 games, that's not bad at all.
Especially for a rookie with no receivers.
With no receivers.
Name a receiver on the Patriots. You can't do it.
Exactly. I mean, I can, but
like I'm saying, like
I know.
Yeah.
But he's good.
And no offensive line.
Exactly. And the only issue, I think, is Josh McDaniels, because we saw he was a great coordinator behind Belichick, who was probably the best defensive play caller of all time. So now he's got to do that without Belichick as his safety net. So we'll see, because when he was without Belichick in Denver and Oakland or Las Vegas, it was terrible. So I think that's what the big kind of question mark for them is.
Yeah.
Now our next topic.
Wait. Carroll got hired today.
Oh yeah,
by the Raiders.
I was going to ask if you wanted to talk about that.
Yeah. I mean, like, might as well throw it in. I don't know much about it, but I mean, he's old. He's got to be better than whatever they had before. What was his name?
Antonio Pierce.
Yeah, he has to be better than that. I mean,
I don't know. I don't know how I feel just because he's so old.
Yeah. That division, the AFC West, is all the coaches are old, so old.
I don't understand it though, because like you're trying to rebuild and you hire a 73-year-old coach.
Yeah.
Because you need a young quarterback.
Yeah.
And
they're either going to get Sanders or
Ward.
Yeah.
So,
probably Sanders.
Yeah. I
After all the tampering done from Deion, that clip when he's like talking to Antonio Pierce, he's like, "You better draft both of my sons."
Exactly.
Like, all right, dude.
So I don't know. It's just it's iffy.
It's interesting. I think
it's very interesting.
I feel like that was their best candidate, but where they are as a franchise,
it's a weird where he was a good candidate for them. I think not for like the Bears or anyone, but I think for them specifically, I think so.
Yeah.
But they're in like a weird thing where Carroll's going down. They're going
trying to go up. Well, they're trying to go up.
Exactly.
We'll see if they actually do. I mean, they have Crosby, but
exactly. They have and then Bowers.
Oh, and Bowers, obviously Bowers. Yeah, Bowers is on.
And then if you want to talk about, we can talk. The Jags hired Liam Cohen, the Bucs coordinator, offensive coordinator.
Yeah,
I'll just say it for a little, that he had like a top 5 offense,
and he brought back to life Baker Mayfield. See if he can do that with Lawrence.
Exactly. That's because I think Lawrence is overpaid right now. I think $55 million is over.
He did not play well at all this year,
and I know he got hurt, but still. Next, Bradley Hoops, Luke, all you.
So Bradley goes 2-0 on this road trip with a 89-77 win over Belmont on the road, which was a pretty good environment. Christian Davis, I feel like Bradley's like such a deep team. Like I'm going to talk about Christian Davis here in this a little bit because he had a double-double, 19 and 10. But on any given night, it can be anybody. It could be Dean. It could be Davis. It could be Hannah. All those guys can just like get going at any time. Bradley's like one of the best 3-point shooting. I think we're 3rd in the nation right now in 3-point percentage. Yeah. We had another good night with 39%. That might seem bad to some people, but like
for 3-point shooting, that's very
good. Like from 42 to 39, that's where you want to be as a team.
Exactly.
And they went 11 for 28, and Belmont also hit 11 threes, but they took 37 to Bradley's 28. So Bradley's super efficient with their 3-point shooting. That's the
smarter
key to their success. And obviously Duke Dean's had an off game, 12 points on 12 shots. Not something you want to see, but that's a good thing about this Bradley team is you don't need Dean to score 25 every night to like win. They have Hannah, they have Davis, they have
guys like Corey Thomas, who
Jaquan Johnson.
Exactly, they have guys, and I went to the Bradley UIC game where Duke Dean
hit
that game winner, and it was a terrible game.
Yeah,
it was the whole game awful. They couldn't shoot, and then the last I would say probably 2 minutes.
Yeah,
they started to finally hit their shots.
Yeah,
and in that time, Zeke Montgomery hit a big 3.
Yeah,
and I mean that makes sense. You go to Duke Dean; he's your best player. He's one of the best 3-point shooters in the country.
He's so efficient, and he's not like a spot up shooter. He takes off the dribble threes.
Oh no, yeah. I mean that one, the one that he made was a fading away 3.
Step back.
Like it was. You can't teach that stuff.
And he's 5'8". Doing that at 5'8",
which is crazy work. Yeah. Like the fact that he can dominate with that much ease, and he's very explosive too. People don't. I think he's underappreciated for like how quick he can get up and down the court. He's one of the
so
fastest.
Hard to keep up with.
Exactly, and he's shifty. He's very like we talk about elusiveness with Jaden Daniels and Lamar Jackson. He's very elusive and shifty as well. So
every time they set a screen for him, he's seeing 2 on that screen.
Exactly.
He has to usually a lot of his shots aren't like super easy ones, so he's like a lot of fadeaway mid ranges or like tough layups, and he's really shown. Like ESPN called him the best pound for pound player in the country, which is like a UFC term where like if all players were the same height and size, he would be the best player.
Exactly. And what I wanted to talk about too is I feel like not a lot of people, but Corey Thomas has been like quietly started to really develop into like what is for this team, like a very good player off the bench who can fill in minutes when Jonovich or Darius Hannah or I mean those are really
those are the 2 bigs. Yeah.
I mean Allison, but Allison's kind of on and off.
Yeah.
That he can fill in and give you 10 rebounds if he were to start 3 blocks. Like I've that UIC game he played, he was a big reason why we were in that game. So he's done a great job. I think early in the season we didn't see him as much and play as well. And I think so far, like now we're in like kind of the stretch of college basketball where you're starting to find out what teams are and where they stand.
Yeah.
And he's starting to understand what his role is for this team, and I think that's dangerous. They're a dangerous team, man.
I feel like the good thing about those 3 bigs is Hannah could be on the court with both of them because he's so versatile. Like
exactly.
He's technically a big, but he moves so well, and he can like guard a lot of positions, and he's like always a threat to dunk on somebody. So he's so fun to watch, and he can shoot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Our next and our final topic of the day.
Yeah, we can do some quick NBA stuff.
Yeah, let's do some NBA stuff. What do you can go first of your thoughts and takes.
Yeah, so always in the news, always finds himself in the news. Jimmy Butler once again suspended once again by the Miami Heat, trying to get traded. You can look up all the videos of him not caring about warm-ups, not caring about the game, not caring about anything. This time he was suspended for missing the team flight to Milwaukee.
Which is impressive.
Yeah, because here's a star player. It's like they're not going to leave without him. So clearly he was on purpose. The question for Butler now is he clearly wants out of Miami, and they're clearly shopping him. But are these actions like keeping teams away from him? Because like, what are they going to get when they trade for him? Because he's going to be locked in, and we have no idea.
Because we've seen him do this with other teams.
Yeah, Minnesota.
Minnesota. I don't want to say hate because that's a strong word, but I don't like when players do this kind of when they're like babying, whining, all this.
Yeah, he did it in Minnesota when he like went on like when they did scrimmages, he would be on like the bench team
and then chirp the starters.
Yeah,
which is, by the way,
laid into Cat.
Crazy to do.
Yeah, and they won, and he was making fun of Cat and Wiggins and D'Lo the whole time.
Exactly,
like, calling them like soft and stuff.
Exactly,
which is probably true, but
it is because Jimmy Butler, even though he's a baby, I think like a little bit of a drama queen.
Yeah,
he's one of the toughest, and playoff Jimmy is no joke. Playoff Jimmy's Jimmy.
Yep.
But the thing with him, I think he is being bad in this situation, but I think another thing that needs to be focused on is Miami. You're in Miami. You say Miami. That's a big. You tell people, hey, you want to go to Miami? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's an issue with Pat Riley too. I think Pat Riley hasn't done a good job of getting people around Jimmy in free agency, especially. I think Miami. You saw with LeBron and everyone. That's kind of when they peaked.
Yeah.
And obviously, that's a big peak. I'm not saying reach that peak again, but they have not done a great job. I feel like surrounding.
Well, the thing with Butler that's so controversial is like. We talk about how like the NBA regular season doesn't matter all the time, right? And he's like the voice of that. You watch Jimmy Butler on a regular season night, he does not care at all. Like that's why we say playoff Jimmy.
Exactly.
Because that's the one time he actually tries.
And when he tries, he's scary.
Yeah, and I think that's why Riley's like so pissed at him because he's like, hey, the past 2 years you have not given a crap about a single regular season game, and we've had to be the 8th seed to try and like compete in the playoffs. So maybe like. Try a little bit in the regular season and we can get a higher seed and like make an easier run and have some home court advantage. But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, these are two of the most stubborn people in the NBA.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah.
Riley is not going to turn like he's so old now. He's like he's in that F-it mode of like
he's
being
like,
old.
He's in that Jerry. I like Jerry Reinsdorf is in that too, where he doesn't care what anyone says.
I mean, I think Riley has always been like that, but now that he's older, he just does not care, and then Butler's not going to back down from anybody.
Yeah, no, we've seen that. He doesn't. No one scares him.
Yeah.
But where do you think? What is his? Would you say ideal destination for him?
I mean, there's a lot of Phoenix talk, but if I could pick one team, it would be the Rockets. I think the Rockets.
Oh, that would be.
They have a load of picks, so many picks. They have so many young players. They're so jammed in their rotation. And the big thing for the Rockets is they don't really have somebody to go to at the end of these like close games.
They don't have a very like Fred VanVleet's okay, but he's not a seasoned veteran like Butler is.
Yeah. But like at the end of the games, they're going to Jalen Green or Sengun, and like Green's so like hit or miss. You could watch him on one night, he'll have like 35 and look like the best player.
And then
the next night
he'll
like
15% from the field. He'll give you 20,
but
he'll shoot 15% from the field. So he's not efficient.
So if they could like. Jabari Smith is a good guy. They have so many picks, and like Jabari Smith and some other like Whitmore, and a bunch of picks for Butler that could give them.
And they have a great Udoka is a great coach.
He was not fired from Boston for coaching reasons. Clearly, he was a good coach. He just was
a little bit of a shady guy.
Yeah,
but I was gonna say Phoenix, but now that you brought up Houston, I think that's a great fit too.
Yeah,
because the Rockets have been one of the best teams.
They're so good
in the NBA.
They're really
surprisingly.
Young. They're like kind of like OKC light. They're kind of like how OKC was last year.
Because they still have but the thing with OKC is they never run out of picks. The Rockets are on that trend where they have a bunch of picks coming up. So we may see eventually down the line. Them and OKC like when Russ and Harden would battle each other.
Yeah.
So. Next, Sixers.
Yeah.
What do you think about? I want to hear your opinion. You're the bigger basketball guy.
Yeah. So the Sixers have been kind of this talk of the season. I mean, Embiid
is a baby.
Yep. That's a good way to put it. I'd agree with you there. I don't like Embiid whatsoever, but he's clearly talented when he plays. That's the problem. Is he doesn't play, and they did this whole big move to get. They waited for Paul George to replace him. Replace Tobias Harris with Paul George, and now Tobias Harris is having a better season than Paul George because Paul George can't play defense anymore. He's always hurt, and he doesn't really shoot threes anymore or well anymore.
As efficient.
Yeah, and he's not asked to do step back like he used to at OKC. A lot of this is spot up type stuff, and a lot of his playmaking stuff comes in the mid range or at the basket, and he hasn't really found his click. I feel so bad for Maxey.
Oh my God, he's having a career year.
Yeah,
too.
Maxey's one of my favorite players in the NBA.
Because I don't want to use the term "shut up and play," but he does not. He doesn't talk crazy.
No,
he
doesn't
very
complain.
Quiet.
Yeah,
he's like, all right, this is my job. I'm gonna go give you 29.
And he's so happy all the time. He has Embiid as his.
Embiid is.
Yeah,
we've seen year in and year out. They tried to put him with Jimmy, didn't work. They tried to put him with Harden, didn't work. I mean, both of them I think are babies.
Yeah.
But then you bring in Paul George and then you bring in Maxey.
Yeah.
And it's like Embiid. It's like dating.
Yeah.
When you're starting to not date women or whatever, and it's starting to get cold, you got to realize, is it you that's the problem? And I think Embiid needs to start to realize that.
Yeah.
You're the problem here, man. You're not. The reason why people don't want to play with you is because one, you don't play, and when you play, you whine if you don't get the ball.
Yep.
And you complain to the reason why he's so good or why he was so good and won the MVP was because look at his free throws.
Mm-hmm.
He got fouled so much, and I don't want to use the term where he Mahomes where he gets a lot of favors from the ref, but when he's 7 foot 1 or 2,
and he just kind of jumps into people.
Exactly, and I mean, Jokic. The MVP talk is a topic for another podcast, but Embiid needs to realize that he's got to get his head out of his butt if he wants to, win a championship eventually for Philly.
Yeah.
Because it's not like he's getting any younger. It's not like his body's getting any healthier.
Nope.
As you get older, your injuries get higher. You get a higher
especially as a 7 foot 2 guy.
Yeah. Your bones, your everything. So he's got to realize for him what does he need to do? Does he want to be that great guy who doesn't win a championship but scores a bunch?
Yeah.
Or does he want to win a championship?
Yeah. So the other part of this is they really have to make a decision now because this is halfway through the year. Do they just throw away the season
that they got?
Because they have this top 6 protected pick, and if they have
Al
Horford
trade,
seven, Al Horford
that's crazy.
Went to the Thunder, traded from the Sixers that 1 year, and so they really have to make a decision. Do they want to tank the rest of this season, or they want to go for it because that pick's going to go to OKC, and this is a good draft. They want to get on this good draft, and the other problem with them is their one bright spot this season was McCain, and he's out for the year. And
exactly. McCain was, I think him and Maxey are going to be scary in the coming years.
They're pretty small, and they don't
small.
play defense. They're pretty small. So, Maxey tries on defense. I'm not going to knock him for his effort. It's a lot of the size.
Size.
Yeah. But I think they have to make a decision. Do they believe they can make a run in the playoffs as a playing team, fully healthy? Can they just coast their way to, the 9 seed, have Embiid in April, have George in April, have Maxey in April, have everybody together, have the whole band together, and can they make a run? Or do they flip the switch now, say Maxey has some quad injury or, just start, thlaying worse guys and just, kind of just trickle down the standings as they kind of just give up on this year. But the thing with I think they're going to try and make a run as a play-in team just because of the fact that if they finish in the lottery, they get this top 6 pick, I think Nurse is going to get fired anyways, but I feel like their GM, Daryl Morey's also.
Morey is weird.
Yeah, I feel like it's his head's on the table here a little bit.
I agree with that. Yeah, I think with the Sixers, you kind of nailed it all. They got to decide what they're doing. Are they going to start selling and you try and get this top 6 pick? Because like you said, this is
it's an awesome draft.
Cooper Flagg, Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper.
The guy from Illinois,
Kasper Siakam Jonas, my guy.
Yeah,
that dude is. That's a topic for another episode because I can go on and on about him. How good he is.
He's gonna be a top 5 pick for sure. They got VJ Edgecombe on Baylor. They got Derek Queen on Maryland. He's really good. They just beat
Illinois.
Yeah, last night. Blew them out, actually.
I don't want to talk about it.
Hey, Wisconsin lost to UCLA by 1, so that was a heartbreaker.
That's better than that's worse than a
blowout.
Because blowout, you're pissed the whole time. At least in that one, you're on the edge of your seat. You're watching.
Yeah. In terms of trying to make a decision here in NBA wise, I'm gonna move to Zach LaVine a little bit. I know he's right in your backyard.
Yeah. Bulls.
Zach LaVine, he's having one of the best years in a while.
Exactly.
And they have been talking about trading him for 2 years. He has this massive contract, but he's playing so good.
But this year, I feel like he's finally fulfilling that.
Yeah, and
how much he's getting paid.
He's averaging 24, 5, and 5 on 51%, 45% from 3. That's absurd numbers.
Yeah.
And his threes aren't, like I said with Duke Dean, his threes aren't spot up.
He shoots crazy shots. He's like when I shoot around basketball with Luke and everybody, guys, I shoot dumb shots. That's if I made them, that's what Zach LaVine.
Yeah.
Zach LaVine, and they're fading back foot, fadeaways.
So good.
And I think they could get a good I think they could get maybe 1 or 2 first-round picks for him. Maybe.
Yeah, but then it comes into the question of the ownership. Their main goal is to make money, and Zach LaVine puts butts in seats. Exactly. If they trade him for some old star that's washed for money, that it's just not going to sell. And I feel like they're going to keep him because I don't know. There's not a lot of trades out there. He's probably going to be involved in the Butler trade with 4 different teams. The Bucks were looking at him to improve the Chris Middleton spot, but I don't know even how the Bucks are. It's just no picks and no good players.
Exactly. It's just with the Bulls. It's they're going to be stuck. They're not.
I think they like LaVine because he can float them at the 9 seed, and that's right where they want to be every year.
That's why I hate this ownership. That's where they want to be. They want to be right in mediocrity.
Yeah.
So it's really frustrating, but it's kind of just life as a Chicago sports fan.
Yeah, I mean that's about all I got to say about LaVine. I'm actually pretty impressed by him this year.
I was too. Well, that's a wrap on this week's episode of the Sports Syllabus Show. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.
And joining our conversation. Don't forget to follow our Instagram and subscribe and share the show to your fellow sports fans. Got a hot take or a question? Hit us up on Instagram. Until next time, stay hyped, stay active, and we'll see you back here for next dose of your daily Sports Syllabus Show. Take care.